We're going to talk about differentiating instruction. If we look inside a classroom in the US, we will find a wide variety of students. Some come from a different culture, are bilingual, have very different learning characteristics, levels of readiness and interest. Some students have special needs, some are talented or gifted, and we as teachers have the responsibility to educate them all and help them reach their full potential. So with differentiated instruction, teachers can adjust curriculum and instruction to meet students' needs. When we talk about differentiated instruction, we need to consider student readiness. Vygotsky proposed that an individual learns in his or her zone of proximal development. Therefore, instruction should always be in advance of a child's current level of mastery, not too difficult or under-challenging. We also need to consider student interest, and this helps students with intrinsic motivation and engagement. They experience a sense of control, competence, and self-determination. We need to consider the learning profile, and this responds to efficiency of learning and preference mode of learning, and includes learning style, intelligence preference, gender, and culture. This is a conceptual map to help thinking and planning for differentiated instruction in response to learners' needs. Instruction and curriculum can be modified to facilitate learning. So within a lesson, the teacher can then modify the content, the process, or product. In effective differentiation, the teacher is proactive from the beginning instead of reactive. So the teacher plans for learning opportunities that address all students. The teacher employs flexible grouping in various materials and uses different pacing to work with the students. The learning experience is student-centered and knowledge-centered. When we consider differentiating instruction, we need to consider student readiness, and therefore we need to be able to adjust the level of difficulty and challenge of the materials, activities, and products, and make them appropriate for students. We need to consider how the students see the world and what interests them, and allow for opportunities for the students to experience learning through those interests. When we consider learning profile, we have to understand that multiple factors influence the way we learn, including learning style, intelligence, preferences, culture, and gender. And as teachers, we can facilitate learning if we address these variables. When we differentiate lessons, we can do it by differentiating content. And by doing this, students can learn or explore a topic from different angles. Students can go from foundational or have a more concrete experience, while other students can explore concepts in a more abstract and transformational way. We can differentiate process by having students do different activities, and they can have, like, for example, literature circles, model making, labs, role playing, graphic organizers. And to differentiate product, teachers can assign students different products to be executed to demonstrate what was learned. They can be grouped by levels of readiness and interest, and the projects can have different levels of challenge and difficulty to meet students' potential. Assessment has a double purpose. One, to chart students' growth in regard with value, skills, and knowledge. And 2. To evaluate the effectiveness of instruction. With this information, the teacher can adjust or modify instruction to make it more effective. So how can we differentiate instruction? How can we implement it? So here are some strategies. Teachers can use compacting. In here, the teacher analyzes what the student knows and what needs to be mastered, and excuses the student from what the student already knows, and allows some time for further exploration and independent learning. Students can use independent projects. In here, the teacher and the student find a problem that is of the student interest, and they come up with a form or a plan to investigate it and to apply learning. Teachers can use interest centers or interest groups. This encourage meaningful learning and can be adjusted to a student's level of readiness. In flexible grouping, students are part of many different groups in where they find various levels of challenge. Teachers can use mentorship in where the student work with a resource teacher, a media specialist, a parent volunteer, or somebody to help them guide their learning in a particular subject. This extends learning beyond the classroom and are often done one-on-one. With varying questions, teachers can customize to a student's readiness and skills questions that they pose to students. In contracts, teachers can tap on a students' desire for freedom and choice. Teacher and a student can create contract agreements in which tasks are designed and students are reliable and accountable for them. In learning centers, teachers can arrange learning experiences by stations. With tiered assignments, teachers can use different levels of instruction tailored to meet students' levels of readiness. So what is universal design? So universal design is an architectural term that is meant to overcome barriers in buildings or designs. So instead of adding modifications to buildings to facilitate access to people with physical disabilities, which is most costly, universal designs incorporates designs that overcome barriers. So when we talk about universal design for learning, we are talking about instruction that draws on the same principle, but by making something accessible to everyone. So in the learning experience, it makes content available to all students by facilitating from the start students' access to it. It makes use of technology formats because of their great flexibility. So iPads, computers, communication devices, word processing, video conferencing, books on tape, etc. are some of the possible technology options available to facilitate learning to all students. So learning is also affected by a student's own behavior and by interruptions and disturbances to lessons caused by other students during class. That's why it's so important to monitor behavior, because students in general can benefit when teachers do this. If inappropriately excessive or deficient behavior of students with emotional and behavior disorders can be controlled by making adjustments to the environment that act as a stimuli. So teachers can help students modify their behavior by being aware of these stimuli and address and make changes to the environment. But how can teachers achieve this? Teachers first have to identify a behavior target to be measured and a method to record the behavior. So regardless of the method chosen, the behavior should be measured frequently and regularly, every day, multiple times a day, before and after the intervention to modify target behavior is put into effect. Embedding social skills is very important as well, because as teachers we don't have access to a big part of the student's background. So it is better as teachers to try to embed social skills in the classroom by teaching students interpersonal skills, verbal and nonverbal behaviors involved in social interactions. Teachers can use, for example, different techniques like instruction, modeling, role-playing, shaping, feedback, and reinforcement of positive interactions. This will help to keep a classroom focused in learning and make the school experience a safe learning environment.